Today, we're going to be turning all of these individual computer parts into one functioning system. I know that this looks like a lot, but I promise it's not as daunting as it seems. So, shall we get started? Like any good computer build, it starts with the case. I decided to go with the Silent Base 600 from Be Quiet. I first began by removing the thumb screws and then the side panels. And I was a little bit more careful with the second one by grabbing it at the bottom. Removing the top and front panels were a little bit more complicated, but eventually I did manage. I decided to start simple and just install the fans first. All fans in this case are Pure Wings 2 fans, again by Be Quiet. Next, it was time to turn my attention from the case to the more beefy internal components. This is ASUS's Z170 Deluxe motherboard, where I'll be installing Intel's new Skylake 6700K processor. This was by far the scariest part of the build because I had never done it before, and one bad move and I could have easily ruined the socket or the CPU. So to install the CPU, you lift the retention arm, raise the cover, place the CPU inside the motherboard socket, and align it properly without pressing down. Once you've successfully done that, you just close the socket cover, refasten the retention arm, and remove the plastic cover that comes off, and your CPU is completely installed. The next part is easy. The RAM sticks only go in one way due to the slot, so in my case I used two 16GB of Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 RAM for a total of 32 GB. I just had to make sure to install them in two slots of the same color. After that, I could finally place the motherboard inside the case. In order to cool a CPU with that much raw power, I decided to go with Be Quiet's Dark Rock Pro 3. To install it, I just put some thermal paste on the CPU die, mounted the cooler on the 4 screws that would come through the motherboard, screwed it in through the back, and it was finally good to go. After I did all that, I felt like I could finally breathe again. The next part was easy. I was installing the GTX 980 Ti graphics card from Gigabyte into my system. In order to do that, I just removed 2 of the back PCIe guards from the case and then lined up the graphics card with the corresponding PCIe by 16 slot, screwed it in, and it was installed. For storage, I avoided traditional hard drives at all costs. They're outdated technology. They're slow, they heat up, they're loud, and just completely unreliable. Solid-state drives, on the other hand, are perfect because they're energy efficient, 100% digital technology, and light years ahead in terms of speed. Next was to just plug everything in. This includes the 24-pin connector, USB 3, 6-pin motherboard power connector, dual 8-pin power connectors to the graphics card, front jacks, and of course the NZXT Hue Plus lighting system. Once everything is plugged in, it's time for the moment of truth to see if it can post. To do that, you plug in your monitor, you plug in the power supply, and you flip the switch, and then you turn on the computer and see if you can get to the motherboard's BIOS. There is one more thing left though. To get the back panel on. I ended up needing to ask my dad for some help with this because my cable management skills were iffy at best. We tackled it with the force of zip ties and were eventually successful in getting the back panel to slide on. With the computer all bundled up, it was just a matter of installing operating systems at that point. I reluctantly installed Windows 10 on one SSD for games and most of my productivity stuff with the Adobe suite. And then on another, I ended up actually being able to successfully install Mac OS X because Mac actually runs on any Intel-based platform. Overall, the computer build was fairly straightforward, and though I was kind of nervous, it didn't end up being actually that bad. So the biggest thing that I can say is the benefit of doing this would be that it's way cheaper. To build your own system with this caliber of components would save me probably around $1,000 from places like Digital Storm or Performance PCs or Origin PCs or CyberPower PCs, all those places will charge you a huge premium to have them put it together. So to do it yourself saves just an enormous amount of cash. The upgradability of my own system is awesome because if I ever need to change anything, I know exactly how to do it because I put it together myself. So overall, I can recommend anyone who's looking for an enthusiast grade computer to give it a shot, build your own. It's not as bad as you think. There are plenty of guides online, and hopefully, this video might help you. Overall, I can highly recommend doing this. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and see you later.